Ay, ay, ay.
To itself, okay?
Come on.
The results of dating someone psycho. Portuguese woman. Chris keeps flying. Coming to a city, state, country, continent near you. I swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help me God. Here's my story. I Here's my story. I was working in Stuttgart, Germany, right? For a little while, right? And I had met this woman, right, in my previous job in Germany in Kaiserslautern, around that K-Town area. If you're familiar, if you know, you know. And I met her while I was doing some traveling, going from, one country to another country. I just basically lived on the road. We continued the conversation until I got the new job in Stuttgart. Everything was going well. There was some distance between us because I obviously uh, lived in Stuttgart, right? And she lived in Eindhoven. She lived in the Netherlands. She works at Intimisme, some cheap wannabe luxury Victoria's Secret brand in Eindhoven, right? And things are going well, right? I've never dated a woman that had children a day in my life. But she had a daughter, right? And I seen what she was going through. You know, she used to video call me and she'd be eating breakfast. And she'd be eating like bread and cheese and all sorts of stuff, like stuff my dog wanted to eat, right? And I used to see what she was eating. She'd go to McDonald's in the Eindhoven City Center and say for lunch she had a small fry. You had a small fry for lunch. So in my mind, I started piecing things together because no person voluntarily says, hey, I'm eating bread for breakfast. And no person voluntarily says, hey, I'm going to McDonald's and buy me the cheapest thing on the menu next to a bottle of water, and that's a small fry. So I could tell that she was going through some things. And I think I brought it up once or something. She got mad, but guess what? The truth will always hurt. But I seen she was going through struggles, and I've told Vanessa this, quite a few times. She reminded me of her mother, of my mother. Her mother's 100 times worse. She reminded me of my mother because my mother had some struggles growing up, but my mother struggled with a house full of boys. Right, all of my brothers are men. And I seen that Vanessa was obviously struggling with the beautiful daughter that she has. So at first I'm like, man, I'm trying to get this, da 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 da. And I'm not gonna be honest with you, like I had no intentions of being in a relationship. I had no intentions of settling down. I had no intentions of wanting to spend the rest of my life with this woman that's on my back. I honestly just wanted to have a good time. I thought she was cute, right? She lived with the mom, she had a child, she worked retail, just things that most men are not looking for in a woman. Living with their mother, a child, working retail, no degree. When you ask a man what he's looking for, I'm sure that's not on his list. So I was just looking for a good time. I was just looking for a good time. But she started to display red flags. People, oh, you display red flags too. Okay, we both started to display red flags, but she started to display red flags because, I was traveling to Eindhoven a lot. I'm talking about getting on this 6-7 hour unreliable European train, going to Eindhoven, sleeping in hotels because she stays with her mother. And there was really no appreciation. And I've used this word with Vanessa before. There was no real appreciation for my efforts. She never said, hey, thanks for getting on that plane for 6 hours to come see me. Send this $150, $200 NH Collection Hotel in the Eindhoven City Center, a Holiday Inn, right? Thanks. I appreciate you. I never received that, and I brought that up later on near the end. Like, there was really no appreciation. But I digress. This video is about that. So I remember, we were in Spain. I took her to Spain, went to Barcelona. We were sitting in a hotel, and I said something to the lines of, along the lines of, are you gonna be mine? Are we together? Something along those lines. And I remember it. I don't remember the exact words, but something along the lines of, I'm your man now, right? And she was laying on the bed, and I was standing up, and she was like, are you asking me? And she kind of giggled, and that's kind of how the relationship with Vanessa and I started in Barcelona. I could have let this particular incident die, right? And like I've said in a previous video, I honestly had no intentions of releasing it, right? Like, even after taking this video in Punta Cana, Dominican Republic, I had no intentions of releasing it. Like, I was like, man, I have it, but I'm not going to release it. Until she decided to call this cop guy, and this cop guy said, hey, you can voluntarily come in and talk to me. And I said, I'll voluntarily come in and talk to you. Allegedly. All these things are allegedly. Never happened. So this cop guy was like, hey, you're posting stuff on social media talking about Vanessa. And I'm like, no, I'm not. And I noticed that he was, recording the incident. And I'm like, man, I like this. So I said, hey, Mr. Cop Guy, I said, hey, Vanessa hit me in the Dominican Republic, Punta Cana. He was like, yeah, I know. And right at that moment, I knew it was nothing that Vanessa could do about me posting her or this video on social media. Nothing. Because his exact words were, I know. She told me. So as I'm processing why I'm in this office having this voluntary conversation, and he admitted that on video or on recording that Vanessa admitted to hitting me, I knew at that point in time he could do absolutely nothing about me posting pictures of Vanessa or this video. Because if he can't do anything about Vanessa hitting me in another country, he can't do anything about me posting a video that happened in another country. Hey, how you doing? I need a favor. I need a favor. I know I'm sitting here hanging backwards like 50 Cent at the Super Bowl, but I need a favor. I'm not asking for money, donations, clicking the link, nothing like that. Do me one favor. Can you do that for me? It's free. I swear. Hit that subscribe button. Hit that subscribe button. You hit it. You hit it. You hit it. Appreciate it. Good looking out. Appreciate it. Hey, I appreciate you. So I knew I had him. Like, you ever played chess? Those that's familiar with chess? And the objective of chess is to put that queen in a position to where she can't move. I'm going to repeat that again. The objective of chess is to put that queen in a position to where she can't move. And when he said he knew that she hit me, I knew that I had put him in a position, and Vanessa, that they can't move. That was me moving my piece to solidify checkmate. Because there was nothing that he could do, or Vanessa. And I'm processing this all through my mind. I'm like, man, so he has me in here talking to him about me talking about Vanessa allegedly. And he admitted on audio that Vanessa told him that she hit me. And if he can't do anything about one, if he can't do anything about that, he doggone sure can't do anything about me talking about Vanessa online. So I knew at that moment it was checkmate for you. You know, because as I said in another video, and this is, documented, I got in trouble when I was like 13 years old, did something, allegedly. And I had to go to court, talk to detectives. Detectives came to the house, whatever the case may be. And, I just, I got probation out of the deal. First time offender. I was cool, easy breezy. And this was 13 years old, and I'm a little older than that now. So I have experience knowing when I'm in a bad situation. And I have experience knowing when I'm not in a bad situation. And I know, and I knew at that time that I was not in a bad situation. So, Vanessa and I, we traveled, took her to Spain. She told me she was in Portugal. I flew to Portugal to see her. We went to the Netherlands, went to Amsterdam, took Vanessa to Albania. I drove to Belgium with this psycho, and she slept on a couch. I spent a lot of money on Vanessa, and I tell you what, is it worth it? Women don't know how to know when they have something good, right? Because I'll go back to what I've said earlier. No man's going to go out on a dinner date with Vanessa and be like, man, I can't wait to spend the rest of my life with Vanessa, her child, and her mother. Let me repeat that again. No man's going to go out on a date with Vanessa, get to know her, learn about her story, what she's got going on, and say, man, I can't wait to spend the rest of my life with Vanessa, her child, and her mother. And then as the dates go on and they start to learn more and they call on the weekends, and man, who's that child? To find out that she has a nephew there and her sister-in-law, all in a 2-bedroom apartment in Eindhoven. So as much as she may think that she's the catch and she's going to find someone better, the lie detector determined that was a lie. Because in order to find something better, you have to be better. But we have to first understand men. We have to understand that men are liars. Men will dine you, wind you, and bend you over their bedside, all while having zero intentions in their mind of being with you. And I've done this before, and I've told many a woman, hey, we together, let's get together. I want you to be mine, you know, I'm your boyfriend, we're official. And they had zero intentions of sharing a future with them. I realistically just didn't want anyone else to have them. I wanted them all to my selfish self. And that's a lot of men. But what hurt me about this animal climbing on my back wasn't necessarily the fact that this animal climbed on my back. It was the fact that I've done so much for this animal. She should have climbed on her mother's back and scratched the mother up. Right? She should have climbed on her mother's back and scratched her mother up. But back to the point, I digress. What hurt me the most is I've done so much for her than probably any other woman. And you can say, hey, you know, Chris, he's flying. You've flown women around the world. I have. Me and African Queen went to Malaysia, Singapore, Indonesia. Me and African Queen, we went to Rwanda. We went to, we didn't go to Rwanda. We went to Tanzania. Right? That's 4 places right there. I flew to Uganda, where African Queen's from, 2 or 3 times. Oh, I flew African Queen and her mother to Rwanda. Right? And I'm just not saying things to be saying things. I am saying the truth. African Queen will tell you I flew her around the world. We flew from where we were at all the way to Asia. We jumping ship, getting on planes, enjoying this country, going to that country, trying different foods. So a lot of the things that I've done for Vanessa, specifically for flights, I have done before. But what hurt me the most is I poured so much into Vanessa and absolutely got zero in return. You ever see those candy machines? You ever seen those candy machines? You put a quarter in it and you turn the knob and candy comes out. I'm going to use this, what I would call terminology, to explain my relationship with Vanessa. I was putting the quarter in, turning the knob, nothing was coming out. I was putting the quarter in, turning the knob, nothing was coming out. I was putting the quarter in, putting the quarter in, putting the quarter in, putting the quarter in. I kept putting the quarter in and investing in Vanessa, turning the knob, and nothing was coming out. Zero. Oh, and she's talked about she's the catch, even on her TikTok, I think is still up there, right? She talks about she's the catch. Now, here's the definition of a catch, right? In my own opinion, a catch is someone that can't be replaced. A catch is someone that's hard to be replaced. And I've met, this happened a year ago today, plus or minus a day. I've met at least 2 women that were better than Vanessa. But let me go back. A catch is someone that can't be replaced. And if Vanessa put everything she has on the table and said, hey, I work at Intimacy folding clothes for $2,000 a month. I have a child that stays with me. I have a mother that stays with me. My nieces or nephews stay with me on the weekend. My sister-in-law comes over every day. I don't have a car. She put all of these things on the table. and said, I am irreplaceable and I am the catch, the lie detector determined that would be a lie. The lie detector determined. The lie detector determined. The lie detector determined that would be a lie. So as I kept pouring into Vanessa and turning the little candy machine knob and nothing kept coming out 1,000 times, I realized that that is what hurt me the most, not the incident itself, not her jumping on my back and scratching me. It was, I poured so much into her and got nothing in return. I invested so much money into her and her family and feeding her child, feeding her mother, and got nothing in return. And I'm not here to blame Vanessa for nothing that I did, because she didn't put a gun to my head and say, hey, Christy Flying, do this or you're dead. But she didn't understand, respect, and appreciate the things that I did for her. And you're going to say, hey, you're talking. I wish you'd shut up. What caused Vanessa to jump on your back? And honestly, that's a very good question. That's an honest question. And the answer to your question is another woman. Another woman caused Vanessa to jump on my back. Right? And I don't know if they're still friends. Right? I don't know. Because allegedly, I ensured that all of Vanessa's friends, quote unquote, knew what happened, allegedly. And Vanessa told me a story one time. She was like, hey, I met a guy and I wanted to introduce him to my friend. You see where this story is going already. I met a guy and I wanted to introduce him to my best friend, and we ended up having sex together. And I'm like, listen, when women say stuff and I'm poker face. Oh, I'm listening, right? So you met this guy, and this guy was so cool, great, handsome of a guy that you wanted to introduce him to your best friend, and y'all went home and had sex. She told me this story, and it took me probably a month to get it out of my head. I'm like, what kind of hope, hope. What kind of hope is this? Hope. What kind of hope is this, right? So, and who would do that? Who would say, hey, man, I met this great guy. Why don't you meet my best friend and we all just go back to my room and have sex? Anyway, so it was because of a woman. I had booked a trip to Malta for Vanessa and her beautiful young daughter from Eindhoven. And she decided to invite her best friend. Well, for the sake of the video, we'll call her D. We argued about it every other week, every week. How you invite your best friend? How you invite your best friend on a trip that I had paid for and planned for you and your daughter? How do you invite your best friend? The same best friend that you had SCX with. How do you invite a friend on a trip with your daughter? And I'm going to make a long story extremely short. She never went on that trip. She did go, but she paid herself. and it was pretty last minute, so I'm sure the prices were expensive, and she didn't go straight from Eindhoven to Malta, although they're all straight flights from Eindhoven to Malta. She bought a last minute flight, and she was so disgusted in me bringing it up and her actions in this picture that she paid for the flight herself. And get me wrong, I'm pretty sure she stopped in Italy first, but I digress. So this is what led to her jumping on my back, and I have the full video, right? And I've said in another video, I will never release the full video because guess what? If I release the full video, guess what Vanessa has? The full video. But that's it. You know, she jumped on my back because we got into an argument a few days because she didn't go from Bootcana home, then go to Eindhoven. Home is Eindhoven, then to Malta. We got in an argument maybe 48, 72 hours before she was supposed to go to Malta about her inviting a woman that she had SCX with on a trip with her daughter. Allegedly. And allegedly, I told her mother, allegedly, I don't know this for sure, I'm speaking in third person, fictional character. Allegedly, I told her mother and showed her mother what Vanessa did to me. So her mother knows she's vicious, allegedly. But the most important thing that I wanted her mother to know is that that young lady that Vanessa called her best friend, she had a sexual relationship with. And I know even more than her hitting me that probably hurt her the most. Because how is a man going to tell your mother that that woman that comes over to visit you, you had a threesome with? How are you going to explain that to your mother? And I gave her mother my number, and I said, hey, if you have any questions, comments, concerns, if she says I'm lying, which is kind of hard to say, call me. And her mother never called me. And I don't think her and Day are even, that's not a real first name, but anyway, I don't think her and Day are even friends anymore. I don't know. I did some investigation. I don't know, 50-50. Right? But it would be hard for me to go back and to Vanessa's house and see her mother because she lives there, knowing her mother knew what she knew. So I said all that to say that 2024 was a year to remember. And Vanessa made it extremely hard for the women that come after her because I will never make the same mistake twice. Will I buy women flights? Yes. Sometimes I prefer traveling alone, but sometimes having someone beside you has benefits, especially if y'all like doing some of the same things and y'all get along well together and y'all are adventurous. It has benefits. But she made it hard on the person that comes behind her. Because I would never invest the time, energy, and money, especially money, into a woman as I did Vanessa. And I am sure that Vanessa will never find a man like me. Matter of fact, I pray that Vanessa never finds a man like me. Amen, amen, amen. Well, here's my 1-year anniversary to being abused by a woman that works retail, lives with her mother, has a child, doesn't have a car, no education, and was the most unappreciative, ungrateful woman I've ever met in my entire life. And I don't know if you know this or not, but I've met a lot of women. Let's talk.